inviting some more people into the room. So Chris, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, and we'll probably do that a few times through the evening as more people come in. But give a quick introduction and tell us a little bit about what you're here to talk to us about tonight. I think you're muted. You might have to hit the little mic button.
There we go. Am I good?
Yes. Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. So I was just saying that this is my, thanks for having me first and foremost. This is my first ever clubhouse experience. So let's see how this goes. So yeah, a little bit about myself. So you can probably tell I'm not exactly from Florida by my accent, obviously for a reason. The UK, came over here, explored about 7 years ago, and about 5 years ago started flipping houses. And you know, in that 5 years, through growth and joining a few mentorships and things, we've gone from doing, I've gone from doing, I think 5 in my first year, 5 in my second year, and went to like 15 a year. And then last year we did like 40 houses. Sorry, the year before that we did 40 houses. Last year we did 80, and we're now on track this year to do 10 a month, which is 120. So that's just a little bit about my, my growth in the background as we've been going down this journey. So one of the reasons, and we do other forms of marketing, which we may go on to, but I know that this is going to be more sort of PPC specific. One of the reasons we ended up doing PPC is because myself and my business partner Ryan, we had no idea about the Freedom of Information Act. We didn't know that all this public record even existed, because back in the UK, it's the information is heavily guarded and heavily regulated, and more so now than it was even back when I left. So if you are going to you have to get people to come to you through some form of advertising or another, whether that be, go really old school, newspapers, magazines, so on and so forth. It has to be some form of opt-in marketing. There's very little cold calling and so on and so forth. How many spam calls and robo-dialing calls I'd get, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I didn't know the reason called Cherish Santos, of course, and I just thought to myself, oh, well, maybe Cherish, whoever he is, tracing was. And I didn't know that, a skip tracer would find 6 or 7 potential telephone numbers per person, and so I somehow kept on coming up as a cross-match, or my telephone number kept cross-match for this guy. So where I'm going with this, is distressed property to come to me, and the only way that I knew to do that in a fast and efficient way was to advertise and them to come to me. So I did a lot of people did was at the side of the road, and he's very from a digital marketing background in London, and I just throw this website up, and every time we buy a house, we'll just turn the ads off, and then we'll fix the house up. Take me a couple of months to fix it up, take me a couple of months to sell it maybe, and then once we get the money in the bank again, we can turn the ads on again. Yeah, no problem. Sounds like a great idea. So that's what we did. That's how we flipped 5 houses in the first year, or we literally turned marketing on and off. And I can't even remember what our budget was. Maybe it was about $50 a day, something like that. And we knew we were onto something when I think it was about the 3rd lead we got. This guy Matthew Seibel, I remember his name was, because I was literally answering all the calls at the time. I gave him a call. It was property in Port Charlotte, Florida. I gave him a call and said, hey, you thinking about selling? He's like, yeah, I'm out in, I can't remember where he was in Texas or New Mexico or somewhere. He's like, yeah, I've not been there for years, had a falling out with my partner, so, we stopped going back. There's an old abandoned vehicle on the drive, you'll have to take care of that. And, just having a chat with this guy, and I'm looking at the Zestimate. The Zestimate at the time was about 90 grand. And he said, but, fixed up, might be worth 100, 110 grand, something like that. I was like, okay, no problem. I said, what do you want for it? It was like 32 grand. I was like, wow, right, okay. So sure enough, I went over there. It was abandoned. I sort of got in the back slider, looked around, just, structurally sound. I was just like, okay, let's do the deal. And I bought it. We fixed it up, and we made about 30 grand on the deal. So yeah, we really knew we were onto something then, and that's really the story of how I ended up doing PPC for us, and how we ended up over the 5 years getting really, really good at PPC, because we just didn't even know that other marketing channels even existed.
That's awesome. And I love your story because, you guys have really kind of unlocked it and figured out some really great strategies with PPC that a lot of other people out there are not aware of even. And you're really targeted with your data. And I know, like, I've been kind of reviewing your course information the past few days and getting a lot out of it. So I know you have something coming up too. So I want you to definitely let people know that, you have something available if they're interested in learning more. But let me kind of reset the room, because we've had a lot of people step in since we first got started. So hello, everyone. I'm Marlena Dates, and I'm here with my co-host, Carrie Lake. And we have Chris Kelly with us this evening to talk about marketing for real estate investors. We do this every Monday evening at 7 p.m. And, we'd like you to come back and keep joining us. So please do. We're also live streaming through Facebook and YouTube. And so you can catch us there if you don't catch us on here for some reason. But we invited Chris here this evening to talk to him because I had the pleasure of meeting him a few months back over last summer, and have just heard really great things about what he's doing with PPC, and recently started exploring a little bit more deeply with him. And I wanted to invite him here to talk about the things that he's doing. And I know we can all learn a lot from what he has done in his success. So I want to give Carrie a quick opportunity to reintroduce herself, and then we'll go back to Chris. And Chris, you can reintroduce yourself as well. And then, we can just kind of go on from there. Carrie?
Hey guys, my name is Carrie, and great this week. I am a real estate investor here in Central Florida, and we do all kinds of marketing
they're literally, these entrepreneurs, these business owners go to an agency and say, listen, that's computers, that's technology. I don't know anything about that. My speciality is grooming dogs. Can you please take this away from me and you know, off to the races? And of course they say they do. The issue is with that is that PPC manager knows nothing about real estate and knows nothing about what areas of geographic areas to target. He's literally going to say, okay, where do you want deals? I want deals in Tampa, Florida, or Cincinnati, Ohio. He's going to draw a big circle around that city, and he's going to say, okay, what are the keywords? Sell house fast, sell house now, sell house quick, blah, 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 blah. And boom, there you go, PPC done. That does not work for real estate. It's never going to work for real estate. You have to get super granular with data, and you have to know which areas geographically to target and which areas to not. The same like, you know, something like direct mail or cold calling. You know, why would you want to direct mail a house in $1 million zip code if you're never going to buy the house in the $1 million zip code? It's just a pure waste of money, you know. Because when that person calls you up and says, yeah, I want to sell my house. Okay, how much is it worth? Oh, it's worth $8 million. That's almost dead on arrival, unless that's what your thing is, right? You know, for me, I've identified I want houses that are in you know, hot zip codes only. I look at zip code velocity and I go, look, I want to be buying in a zip code that sells quickly. Now, I know in today's market, this last few months, everything sells quickly. It's actually one of the reasons we've expanded some of our PPC. But, you know, I don't want to buy in a zip code where I'm going to be sat holding that asset for ages waiting for it to sell. I don't want to buy in a zip code with average ARVs over 350. Prior to COVID, it was 300, but, you know, we've moved that up a little bit. You know, I've defined what my seller looks like, and then I target areas where is the highest frequencies of those sellers in that area. I hope that makes some sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think that's such a great approach, especially nowadays, because I mean, marketing in general costs so much more. There's so many more people out there, you know, trying their hand at marketing for real estate investment purposes. And so there's, you know, a lot of messages out there targeting a lot of people in a blanketed way. And a lot of the more targeted methods, a lot of people are doing. So, you know, it's a little less targeted than it may seem, but you guys kind of like have like a sniper method going on with the way that you target your data and then target your PPC specifically that way. So I love that. And I want to just real quick let everybody know, if you do have a question or you have something to add to the conversation, please raise your hand. We'll be happy to bring you up. And I am so sorry that we lost Nick. I know he did raise his hand. I was going to bring him up after the introductions, but he dropped out.
Yeah.
But, you know, anybody in the room, if you think that there's somebody else that would benefit from being a part of this conversation or listening in, please go ahead and hit that plus button at the bottom right of your screen and invite some more people in, because we'd love to have this room grow and have a lot more people be impacted by the messages and information that's being shared here. So thank you so much again, Chris, for joining us this evening to talk about what you're doing in your investment business. And I know you just gave some parameters for how you're targeting your marketing, which I hope that everybody really took notice of and maybe made some notes, because, you know, you talk about having an avatar for the property type that you're looking for. And I think that's so key for people. If you're just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm having tech issues here. I have too much going on in the background. I'm so sorry about that. Hold on. Carrie, can you take over for just a moment?
Yeah, are you trying to live stream while you're doing Clubhouse?
Yes, and something just happened.
Yeah, okay. Chris, I have a question. So PPC, so you basically provide the services for investors. Like, so what if someone were getting into real estate investing and they were like, well, I just want to like start PPC on my own. Like, I want to do it on my own. What are the pros and cons to doing it on your own?
So I'll begin answering that with we have only just started providing PPC services for others. Literally, again, Nate is the first. We've kind of actually held back on it because it is one of those things that is quite tough to set up, and we don't want people who are, gonna drop out, or we don't want people who are a little bit flaky, or we don't want people who. We want very good operators. I'd hate to have a situation where people are going, they call the leads after 2 days of them landing, the leads have cooled off, and then they're blaming us, saying, well, the leads aren't very good. You have to manage those. They're very expensive leads, so you literally have to be razor sharp on the phone when you get them. So in terms of setting your PPC up by yourself, I would err caution. Now, I'm not a sort of tech I'm the real estate guy. My business partner Ryan is the internet guy, right? I tell him what I want, and he kind of goes and does it. I would just say this. I would just say, be careful, because I think where people have been burned on PPC, from what I hear, having been quite a known face in the world of real estate over here now. People are scared about going, oh, well, I put PPC in there. I put $5,000 of the budget in there at 9 a.m. and by 10 o'clock it was all gone. I think something that scares people about PPC the most is it's kind of a black box that, unlike direct mail, you can control how much direct mail is going out or how much text messages are going out. Like, you're in control. Whereas PPC, people, you can just put some money in there and it can just get chewed through very, very quickly. Maybe this is a little bit of self-advertising here, but I would definitely say, come to our event, because we have learned the hard way ourselves over 5 years, and we've learned the do's and don'ts, and we can share with you the do's and don'ts, so then you don't do it yourself. And I can assure you that the lessons of the don'ts is far, far more expensive than what we charge for the course. So little things like, I can't even remember which way around this is now, so please don't quote me on this verbatim, but some of the keywords, I forget which way around it is, but it's either home or house. One of them works like 16% better than the other one. So sell your house works, say, 16% better than sell your home. So again, this is things that we talk about on the course. And I think if people who come to the course, our goal is, you're not going to become a PPC expert coming on a 16-hour course in which we don't just talk about PPC. We talk about a myriad of other things as well. We probably spend about 4 hours of the 16 on the PPC. So you're definitely not going to learn in 4 hours what it takes people years and years to master. But what we can give you is a bit of a rule book, a bit of a playbook that you can just go, look, if I do this and I don't do that, then, and I implement that into my PPC, even if that's yourself or a management company, you're going to be in a much better place than if you just wing it completely. For example, if you're putting in keywords like sell my house, and you put that in as, say, a broad match modifier, then yes, you're going to see your PPC budget getting eaten completely, because people might be looking at sell my dollhouse, sell my doghouse, sell my, outhouse. And they're going to be landing on your website going, sell my house fast cash. No, this is what I wanted, backspace. But they've chewed up your money. They've already clicked. So it's cost per, every time somebody clicks, they're already chewing up your money. What you want is like more exact match modifiers. So I would definitely say keep your number of keywords low. Keep them super motivated terms like, sell house fast cash now. Make them really, really obvious. Put a budget in there. Put them on an exact match, and then even if you only get a few clicks a month. Remember, you're only paying per click. You're not paying per view or per look. It doesn't matter how many times you get searched. You just want to make sure that when somebody clicks, that somebody is extremely likely to be looking for the service that you're you're wanting, which is you're wanting to buy houses fast for cash, right? So, you know, and then you can put in a load of, you know, negative keywords as well to kind of keep that axe even sharper. You know, you can, so if they do type in sell my doghouse, you know, buy a doghouse, you can have hundreds and hundreds of negative keywords so that if they type in that, you definitely do not show. So I guess that would be, to your question there, I think that would be a couple of really simple pieces of advice. One, get some sort of, you know, reasonable education on it, hopefully through us, that'd be great. Number two, you only need about 10 really high keyword converting, highly motivated keywords. Number three, put those keywords on exact match modifiers. And number four, you want to be going with loads of negative keywords. If you want to go, you know, number five, I guess, just do not do broad match modifiers. Broad match modifiers will eat your budget very, very fast, and you probably won't get the traffic that you're looking for.
Got it. Okay. My other question that I had when we did PPC is we tested out like different landing pages where, you know, one page would just have like a form that the homeowner would fill out. One page would just have the phone number. So there was no form to fill out. They had to pick up the phone. Have you seen, and I'm sure you've tested different, the different landing pages and the different calls to action. Have you seen one work better than the other? Does it depend on what kind of market you're in? Does it depend on what kind of message you're putting in there?
Yeah, it does, and you know, again, I know we're here talking about PPC. I know enough to be dangerous, okay, but
that's okay. We like dangerous.
it's my business partner who manages the day-to-day ins and outs of this thing. So I can't give you exact specific examples. What I can tell you is this: is that Ryan, when he worked for eBay, one of his jobs was to figure out statistically if somebody shops and you offer them free shipping, are they more likely to shop than if you don't? And then equally, if you offer them a free gift, you know, sometimes you get like a little bottle of shampoo or something in there, you know, are they more likely to shop or shop again? You know, will there be some goodwill, and will they come back? So on and so forth. So he's, you know, super high level at split testing. And the other things that he split tested for places like eBay was to take this to its most obvious example, you're far more likely to buy a grill in the summer and a sofa in the winter. And you're not realistically going to buy a grill in the winter and a sofa in the summer. So take that, extrapolate that out, and what Ryan's actually done over the 5 years of doing this PPC for us, he knows if somebody's typing in this message at this time of day, I need to send them to this landing page, and that landing page needs to be blue. And if somebody's typing in this message at this type of day, I need to send them to this landing page, and that landing page needs to be green. And that's how granular he has got with this thing. And that's how our returns on PPC appear to be certainly better than really what I've heard anybody else coming across. So again, to kind of take this to a mere mortal's level, I would just make sure that your landing pages that you're driving people to, the worst thing in PPC is people land on your page and then they click back, click backspace. Now, you're always going to have some bounce rate. Bounce is just, part of the internet. So you just got to be very careful to make sure that your branding is exactly what you do. Like if you buy houses like we do, that's fine. When they land on your page, you want to make sure that they know it straight out the gate that you buy houses, and you want to make it super simple for them to type to send you their information. You don't want the call to action to be below the fold. We've seen other things like part of our event. What we'll do is we'll say, right, look, who's got a site? Who wants us to look at their site? Even something as minor as telephone number capture. Some people will put hyphens in between the first 3 numbers, then 3 numbers, and then the 4 numbers. You don't want it to kick that back and say error, can't read your telephone number. Some people will put I'd say dots. You got what do you call them? Periods, right? You put 3 and then a period, and then 3 and then a period. Some people will put 3 and a space. Some people will just put them all, all 9 numbers. The point is that there's many variants just on leaving telephone numbers alone. And you want to make sure that your call to actions will accept all potential variants, because if they don't, you may be annoying people, and those people may then be pressing backspace and going elsewhere. Same with addresses. Some people go, oh, well, I won't let them, submit a call to action unless they leave me with X and Y details. Try not to do that. We just try and capture any details we can, even if we get a telephone number, even if we get an address. An address is fine for us, because we can then just go ahead and skip trace the seller who's put the address in there, right? So I would say in terms of landing pages, make them super user friendly, make them super obvious of what it is that you do, and try and capture any and all information that you can. You've paid for that traffic now, so you might as well try and get something out of it.
Yeah, that's all great information. And I just wanted to, it reminds me of, so I'm reading the book Persuasion by Robert Cialdini a second time, and I'm literally going through the book and outlining it, because he talks about this with websites as like subconsciously influencing people, like depending on the time of the day, depending on like what they're looking for, comfort versus price, with like these different websites that they've tested out. And it's so interesting that you said that your partner like knows the time of the day with the color to use. Like that gets really down into the detail, but it's so important because this is like the power of influence. It's like taking that person's situation then and there and subconsciously influencing them to click on your page and fill out the form, or move forward towards whatever call to action that you're giving them.
It is, and I think that the ad copy's got a lot to say for that. I mean, if nobody on the call knows what ad copy is the bit that you when you type in and you see 3 ads, what does the ad say exactly? What is the wordage that you are displaying there? Because, again, you want your ad copy to match what the person is typing in. If they're saying, like if you read the book, Never Split the Difference, he talks a lot about mirroring. Again, if they're typing in "sell my house fast as is," I want the message, the ad copy, to not say "sell my home as is." I want it to say literally "sell my house fast as is." I want it to match what they're typing, because I'm mirroring what they want.
Right.
So yes, you to your point, you're exactly right. You have to be clever, not just with the landing page and time of day, but you also want to just be mindful that ad copies, if they're saying "sell my house fast as is," you don't want your ad copy to say something completely different, because they're probably not going to click on your ad.
Right. It's like the confused customer is not going to be your best customer, so you want to confuse them.
Yes, for sure. And I think that something that is been an eye-opener to me as well. I mean, I didn't even know that this was happening up until, a few months ago. But Ryan was explaining to me, and this is just the power of the internet and the, where we are in the 21st century. I don't know whether it's, Big Brother's looking down on us all, but, I know we all laugh when we go, "Oh, I was just talking about that with my spouse," and then it popped up on my Facebook ad, maybe Alexa's listening. What you can do with PPC, if your site has got adequate tracking within it, and maybe I'll talk a bit about traffic tracking in a second, because tracking, we've discovered a lot of people go, "Okay, well, I've got a website, can I do PPC?" And when we look at the website, it doesn't have built into it Google Tag Manager and tracking. And then we say, you can do PPC, but you're probably going to lose a bunch of money, so I wouldn't advise it. And what this tracking does is AdWords tracks basic things, number of clicks, number of, people filled out the form, bounce rate, blah, 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 blah. What this tracking does is it tracks who is the person typing what in and what did they type. And where we've gone with this is, number one is what did they type, is we've looked at the hundreds of deals that we've done over the years, and we might get loads of traffic out of some keywords, but then it never actually transpires in deals. We might get very low traffic out of some words, but every time that they type that in, we get a deal. So we're not after traffic. We're not after any of those things. We're after deals. And so what I would say there is Google Tag Manager, it's not just about how many leads. It's not just about how many conversions. It's about where those conversions coming from. And then you can reverse engineer that to just get rid of those keywords. And that's why we've gone from hundreds of keywords down to literally like 10, because those are the 10 or 12 that transpile into deals. And that's what I'm after. Second thing is what I was talking about with, Big Brother's watching us all, or maybe Alexa is, or one of the other, or both. We can look at two houses side by side. And so same house, same zip code, same value approximately. And we might buy, and each person in each house might, let's say they type in sell house fast cash. Both of them type in the same thing. We might bid $200 for the person to click in house A, but only $30 to click in house B. Now, why is that? Well, because we know where house A's internet traffic has been going in the last, few weeks. And if in house A, we know that person is of a particular, particular gender, a particular age group. We know that if they've been searching for, real estate agents, home inspections, they've been on like sites like U-Haul recently. If they've dropped all these cookies on all these sites, then that's that we know that person's serious about selling. Whereas if the house in person next door is literally just, again, I won't be gender specific, but a different gender, and the sites that they've been on recently are things like automotive sites, and they are of a particular age. We're not paying a lot of money for that click. So that's how granular you can get with this PPC game, but you can only get that granular when you've got ad tracking and Google Tag Manager inside your website. And again, most websites that we come across when people go, will you do PPC for me? We're forced to say no, because we can't deliver the ROI for them because we're just flying blind.
I wanted to jump in here, and I love that you're sharing all this, Chris. And I know some people in the room probably are like, wow, that's a lot. So I just want to kind of reiterate that you are offering some training in this. You do have something coming up soon, and we'll definitely make sure everybody is aware of that. I also want to make it clear, we're just promoting people freely here because we think they have good stuff to offer. We're not making anything off of that. So just to make that clear. But, it's such great information. Obviously, Ryan does a lot of the technical stuff for you. And as you mentioned, you're not fully aware of, how to explain all that stuff. But there's so much that you're talking about here that, to your point with Carrie, it's like, you can learn this stuff certainly, but there's a lot that goes into it. So let me take a quick moment to reset the room, just make sure everybody knows what we're talking about here. I'm Marlena Dates, here with Carrie Like every Monday evening at 7. And we're talking to various experts in the field in real estate investing about the type of marketing that they're doing that is working the best for them or that they have special expertise in. So this evening we have Chris Kelly with us, and he has a really sniper targeted method of doing his PPC, among other other types of marketing that he may do in addition to that. So we've asked him to come here and talk about this. And as I was just saying, he does have something coming up. So if you do want to learn more about this, please make sure that you reach out to him. Chris, I don't know if you have your profile set up, but if you have some sort of contact information in there or want to add it for people to reach out to you, or just tell them here the best way to do that, that would be great.
Yeah, I probably best just tell them, because this is the first time I've used Clubhouse, so I don't even know that you had a profile in here. So there you go.
Yeah, you'll need to set that up.
Oh yeah, look, add Instagram. That's cool. Yeah, so yeah, people can follow me. I'm Chris Kelly Mindset is my Instagram. That's probably the best way to get hold of me. Yeah, I mean, if you are interested in the course as well, that's no problem. I'm chris.kelly@fastsaleflorida.com. That's chris.kelly@fastsaleflorida.com.
And you guys, I can tell you that I've been exploring the last course that he did, and it is just really excellent stuff. And it's very easy to understand the way that they go through it all. So if you do want to learn more about this outside of what he's sharing so freely here, then, definitely get on a conversation with him and see if it's a good fit. But I did want to open up to Ahmed, because he raised his hand to come up and ask a question. So Ahmed, do you have a question? And actually, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody first. Are you there? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, now.
Yeah, I'm based in the Orlando, Florida area, mainly wholesaling. Most of my deals came from mailers, a little bit from SMS, text blasting. I was thinking, in the past couple of weeks at PPC, to my marketing, well, as Chris said, I'm just afraid to get in and burn. I do have a couple of questions to Chris. I mean, you guys are spending a ton on marketing, so there must be some kind of, KPIs, or you guys are tracking everything. So, what's the cost per deal that you're seeing right now? So, for example, let's say I decided to go into PPC, and I want to spend like 2 or 3K. Does that result in one deal? Do I need to spend more, or does that differ from one market to another? Sorry, I was just on mute. Yeah, thanks for asking. Great questions. Firstly, because you're in, I think you said you're in the Orlando area, didn't you? So I can actually kind of speak to that area in terms of KPIs. But towards the end there, you said, does it vary from market to market? Yes, because if I'm in downtown Manhattan, well, maybe not because of COVID, but you get where I'm going with this. If I'm in downtown Manhattan, and that's the zip code that I'm targeting, the cost per click is probably through the roof. Whereas I was talking to a buddy of mine who I'm in a mastermind with, and he's in the middle of Oklahoma, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the cost per click for me is like $8." So I would imagine that market to market, it's a big country, right? And just for everybody on the call, just so they understand how PPC works. PPC is an auction, and Google has got words and traffic for sale, and all they're doing is they're trying to make as much money as physically possible. So when somebody types in certain words, they know that, I'm willing to pay, $100 for that. Marlena might be willing to pay 120. So Marlena wins. And so her ad gets displayed and not mine. So that's why different markets have different costs per click, because there's different demand in those markets. So in terms of our KPIs, yeah, happy to share. We certainly for 2020, we were spending somewhere between about $350 to $400 per lead. Now, I know a lot of people then fall off the chair at that point and say, I'm out, or other people, which in my opinion is a very poor way of looking at it, going, oh, well, I generate leads for $10, which to me is just a stupid way of looking at it. But our KPIs, PPC, yeah, we track them very carefully. We generate leads for somewhere between $350 to $400 but 1 in every 4 to 5 leads for us are attractive. And we kind of go, oh, we might have something here. There might be something of interest. They're in our range. They're talking our language. Now, unfortunately, we don't close every deal that lands, or potential deal that lands on our desk. One of the negatives of PPC is these people are shopping around just the same as we shop for, auto insurance. They're getting 2 or 3 bids, right? So we don't contract every juicy-ish telephone conversation that we have. We contract about 1 in every 2. So for us, about every 10 leads, we get a deal. 10 leads cost us between $3,500 to $4,000. And then, of course, our average revenue per deal is between about $25,000 and $30,000. So those are our kind of rough metrics. Has that answered your question?
Yes, so much. So, like, if I want to go into PPC, let's say I don't have a website right now, but how long does it take till you see results? Does it take like 90 days? Is it instant?
No, I mean it's instant, because it's not like SEO where you're putting money into something organic. You should be able to turn PPC on, and there is a little bit of, there's maybe a few days worth of Google sort of verifying your ads and bedding in your ads and things like that. But once your ads are displaying within a couple of days, you should immediately start seeing at least more. You'll see your impression numbers go up. So what an impression is, just again for everyone on the call, is an impression is how many times your ads are getting displayed. Now, whether they get clicked on or not, that's a totally different thing. But remember, it's only cost per click. So if you're getting displayed and you're not getting clicks, that's when you've got to start thinking, well, okay, it's not costing me any money, but are my keywords right? Because my ad is showing, but nobody's clicking. But no, once you start getting impressions, you should start getting clicks, and once you start getting clicks, you'll see your budget going down, and you'll know if your budget's going down and you're getting clicks but you're not getting leads, you know something's wrong fairly quickly.
Are you okay with the carrot site to start with, or do you advise something that's better, that converts better?
Were you on the call when I was talking about Google Tag Manager and tracking?
Unfortunately.
You were? No, okay. One of the most important things that we use is Google Tag Manager and tracking. We know not just how many clicks and how many leads and how many conversions, because any AdWords account can do that. Google Tag Manager and tracking tracks what these people typed in. So we can reverse engineer all the deals we've done, and we can go, all those deals were done not from these hundreds of keywords, but actually all these deals were done from just these 10 keywords. And now we can kill the other keywords. Don't need them. They're just wasted. Yeah, they might give us traffic, they might give us leads, but they're not giving us deals. So that, number one. Number two, who is the user of the computer that is typing in this? I only want users of a certain age type who have visited recently sites that display some sort of motive to move house, like home inspection sites, real estate sites, what is my house worth, U-Haul, Home Depot, these types of sites that display some kind of want to move. That click is worth a lot more to me than the person next door who's not visited those sites. So what I'd say about the Investor Carrot websites, and somebody may, if I'm wrong, then somebody feel free to reach out to me. But from the research we have done, Google Tag Manager and this level of tracking is not available in a Investor Carrot website. So therefore, that is one of the main reasons we have to turn most people away that come to us asking specifically for our PPC services, because we look at the website and we go, it can be done, but it will not be done. You won't see KPIs like our KPIs. Look at it this way. And maybe this comes back to Kerry's point about landing pages and what's the best landing page and so on and so forth. And I was just saying simplicity, make sure that it's very obvious what you do, make sure that it's very obvious what to type in, where it should be typed in, make sure that your fields accept all forms of telephone numbers. So 3 digits space, 3 digits, 4 digits, or 3 digits hyphen, 3 digits hyphen, 3 digits period, 3 digits period, whatever. You want to accept all that. If you're kicking back and saying, did not fill in this, it's coming up with one of those little red squares around the fields and little red asterisks, that's not good. You want to make sure that your site's super easy. And where my analogy is always here is you can have the best dart player in the world. And that dart player can be given the best darts, the sharpest darts. But if he's throwing darts at a dartboard made of steel, none of them are going to land in the board, and all of them are going to land on the floor. It doesn't matter who's managing your PPC. It doesn't matter what traffic you're driving. It doesn't matter what AdWords you're using. If your website is not up to scratch, you are not going to get the leads.
So I have to ask on that note, Chris, I use an Investor Carrot website, but I definitely want to move in the direction of what I'm learning from you. So do you recommend that I just hire somebody to recreate my website on a different platform? And if so, what would be a good platform in your mind?
Yeah, I think that's more of a question for Ryan. I know ours is just a WordPress site, and I know that he has said in a previous Fast Track Me event that that you can get some very good developers who, if you tell them, look, I want a WordPress site and I want it to have this Google Tag Manager in it and tracking. On Upwork, Ryan always swears by Eastern Europeans. He's like, Ukrainians, Bulgarian, so on and so forth. He's like, they're very good at English. They're very good with computers. They're a good price. They're not as cheap as other places on Upwork, but that's who he tends to use for a lot of his site development. And I think that Carrot, listen, maybe somebody's going to jump on and call me an investor Carrot basher here, but I think there's fees, isn't there? Isn't there monthly fees or annual fees or something
yes,
to it?
There are. And they do. They offer some good training for SEO and some different things that I never have time to take advantage of. But yeah, you're on their platform and they train you how to try and maximize it based on what they offer you. And it's based on WordPress.
But realistically, SEO, how likely is it that a user who's using a Carrot site is actually going to invest the time, effort, and energy over the years building up all the links and domain name authority and so on and so forth to get themselves displaying? We spend thousands of dollars a month on SEO. We're still not on page one. We've been doing that for 3-4 years.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point to make to everybody. We kind of started off at the beginning of the hour talking about, I mentioned that I've hired different agencies and it can be very expensive. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, and you guys do it very differently than your typical ad agency does that's going to do your PPC for you. And I can tell you personally, we've worked with some really great people. There was nothing wrong with them or what they were doing. They were driving a lot of traffic, but it wasn't traffic that we were closing on. And so at the end of the day, not not only was I spending a huge amount of money on their agency to do all the work that they were actually doing, so that it's not like they dropped the ball, and we were getting a ton of traffic, but it was a ton of really expensive, really useless traffic. So I want to make that point really clearly to everybody. You know, if you're going to do this, definitely make sure that you understand what you're getting into, and don't just hand it over to somebody. You know, get the right training or the right people that are doing it in this field that know how to really work with it at the level that you want, and get you the results that you want.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right there, Marlene. And we saw the same thing. We after doing it for about a year or so, 18 months, Ryan was, we were doing this part time. I said to you people at the beginning of the call, my business began in a pub in London, and you know, we were like, well, we'll just run PPC, and then we'll buy a house, then we'll turn it off, and then we'll buy another, and then we'll turn it back on, and we'll turn it off, and that was literally the idea. And yeah, it grew and grew and grew, and it got to the point where Ryan had got a new contract working for somebody. I think it was Estee Lauder in London, or L'Oreal or somebody, and the account had grown, and we were spending maybe 10 grand a month at that time. And Ryan was like, "Look, Chris, you know, I don't have enough time to focus my efforts on this. Maybe we should outsource this to somebody else." So we did, and we outsourced it to somebody, and they managed it for about a year. And because we were just trying to get to the point where Ryan, it only took up one day a month of his time, or one afternoon of his time. You know, he would just track their KPIs and give them a good kick up the ass from time to time, and not be in this thing, you know, 3 days a week. And we just had to take it off them, because we went from having 20 or 30 keywords up to hundreds of keywords. We went from, you know, marketing in certain areas to all the other areas. And to your point there, Marlena, they'd show us some really nice graphs at the end of every month, right? Nice shiny graphs that were like, look at how many more impressions you're getting. Look at how many more clicks you're getting. Look at how many more, you know, leads you're getting. And I would always just be saying, I don't care. We've not bought anybody's house this month. This is not important to me. I don't care if I'm spending 10. Oh yeah, but we've driven your cost per lead down. I'm like, I literally don't care. I don't care if my cost per lead is $2,000 per lead. If I'm buying the house of that $2,000 lead, that's all I care about. And I think, again, so many people are focused on that. So many people are like, I can generate leads for $10. Good, so can I. I don't want the $10 lead. I want a good quality lead that I'm going to more than likely buy their house. And to your point there, Malia, they're not doing it on. They're not doing the wrong thing on purpose. These PPC managers, they're not like evil people that are like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, ruin this person's business. They're just applying what they know to real estate, and then unfortunately, it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. You have to be more laser focused. You have to be cleverer. You can't just draw a circle around a city and say, we buy houses fast cash. It's just not going to work like that. Because when you do that, you get in, you know, houses that, you might not want mobile homes, and then suddenly there's people in mobile home parks blowing up your PPC. You might not want $1 million houses. People, you know, on a beachfront property blowing up your PPC. You've just got to be far more strategic about it than that.
You know, I think that's great advice. And I mean, I can only really speak from my experience, but you know, that I was paying $3,500 a month for just the agency services between doing the PPC, Facebook ads, and SEO. And we did that for a number of months, and our ad spend was pretty comparable to that. So we're looking at like $7,000 a month we were spending on that. And we got a lot of listed leads, and we got a lot of like just random, like people were filling out forms without proper information. So I don't know if it was other investors just trying to drive up our ad spend, but we were spending quite a bit of money, and, you know, for many months on end, and didn't get the results from it. So, and I mean, we have a, you know, strong follow-up program and all that kind of stuff with our leads when they come in, but by and large, like we still have not closed a deal from our website PPC. We've only done it organically in the past with our website. So I think this is really important for people, because so many people think, if I just put up a website, Or, if I just pay somebody to put some marketing out for me, or I just put some Facebook ads out, I'm going to get so many leads, I'm going to get deals off of it. But you can sift through a lot of garbage doing that if you don't have the right people managing it for you or know how to do it yourself.
You do indeed. And I just want to just play devil's advocate here. And just to be clear, when I said before, we get 5 leads for us is like, we get excited and go, oh, we might have a deal here. 1 in 10 we actually contract. Let's just play devil's advocate. That means 4 out of 5 of our leads are also rubbish. That means 8 out of 10 of our leads are rubbish. Okay. So that means 80 out of 100 of our leads are rubbish. You can't get that granular that only as soon as there's 1 lead, you get 1 deal. It's just never going to be that way. We still do get people literally phoning us and saying, hey, I'm going on the market with a realtor tomorrow, just seeing what you give me for it. We don't see it in this market today, but we used to get lots of people going, phoning us on the market and saying, hey, I'm on the market, it's not selling, what will you pay me for it? And we had to give them a bit of a slap round the face and tell them that it wasn't selling because they were overpriced and we were going to be considerably under that price. And then they tell us to, use a 4-letter word and go elsewhere. So I just want to be clear that, again, 80% of our leads, nothing happens. But to me, I still think that's a good hit rate because most people, from what I hear as an industry standard, I know Kerry, if she's still on here, direct mail, and we do some direct mail. But I remember going to some courses, I won't mention any names, but there was one guy doing a lot of direct mail, and he had to generate 150 leads to get a deal. From what I hear as a bit of a standard, it's more like 75-ish leads to get a deal. I don't know if anybody else can verify those numbers. Or
That's pretty accurate in our business, and we're direct mail heavy.
So 7 is fairly accurate, is it, Marlena?
Yes, I would say so.
And this is one of the secret magic of PPC, because the cost of calling 74 people, and I think we've all been around the block enough to know, it's not just 74 phone calls. It's they don't answer, they don't, and then you leave a message, and then they ghost you, and then you got to follow up, and then you got to follow up, and then you got to follow up. It's probably 750 phone calls, but anyway, the cost of making 74 calls to somebody who's not going to contract is considerably higher than us making 8 calls to somebody who's going to contract. So my labor cost is considerably less. So yes, my lead cost is higher, but my labor costs to service and manage those leads are considerably less. And the second point to that is because we only generate about 3 leads a day, we can super focus on those leads. And we can call those leads, 3 times a day until we get hold of them. If you're generating 75 leads to get a deal, the chances of you being too busy to call Mrs. Smith on, 2 p.m. on Wednesday when you said you were going to call her, there's a lot more that can slip through the net, is I guess what I'm saying, because you've got more volume of craziness going on, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I can speak from our business perspective. We do high volume of marketing to get high volume of leads because that's always been an issue. We've always done direct mail, and even with cold calling and texting, all of those methods, you really need to generate leads in volume. And then you're right. If you don't talk to them right away, you're going to follow up with them over time. Some people we've been following up with for over a year or 2 before it turns into a deal. So we'll always follow up, but you never know when that's going to happen. So you're right. The amount of manpower that it takes to be able to do some of these other marketing channels in comparison to what you guys are doing with PPC. I mean, I'd rather have a few leads to look at and get a deal off of that than have to sift through hundreds and hundreds to try and find a deal. So I think that this is a really great strategy. And, for so many people that have backed off of PPC or Facebook ads or whatever, because it is so expensive, a lot of people out there, well, maybe not a lot of people, there are a few people out there like yourself who really understand how to deep dive this stuff and really get the best results. So I'm going to take a quick moment to just reset the room. Welcome everybody this evening. Carrie Lake and myself are here every Monday evening talking about marketing for real estate investors. We're here at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we go until, it makes sense to stop, usually around 8:30 or 9. So please keep coming back. And tonight we have Chris Kelly here with us to talk about what he's doing in his business, specifically deep diving the targeting of his avatar for what he's looking to buy so that they can then target their other marketing. And he is very PPC heavy. So he's been talking with us this evening about what they're doing that's different from what everybody else out there is doing that's getting them amazing results. So going back to one every 10, did you say? I'm sorry, I had 4 in my mind, but that can't be right. 1 in every 10 is a deal?
Yeah, 1 in every 4 to 5 is attractive, viable, potentially in our strike zone or range. So, we're saying to them, how much do you want for the house? And they give us a number and we go, oh, that could work. That's about 1 in every 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't close every single one of those. I'd love to, but we don't. So in reality, it's more like, when we actually get pen to paper, it's probably about 1 in 8 to 10. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Those are our lead numbers to contract. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said 1 every 2 offers. Is that right? As a deal?
Yes, pretty much, because that's exactly right. We do lose out to competitors. People do change their minds. That does happen. And I did say that one of the negatives of PPC is people are shopping around, and just the same as car insurance or whatever you're buying. If they know they're in a need to sell situation and they've put themselves in that frame of mind and they're going to Google and they're typing in sell house, blah, 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 they're probably going to make 2 or 3 other inquiries as well. It makes sense, right? I think one thing that is beneficial actually about outbound marketing, cold calling, skip tracing, that kind of thing is, you've just got to catch the right person on the right day, and that person makes a snap decision. Or build up rapport with that person over time so that there is no competition left because you've built up so much rapport over so long. When PPC is a little bit more, sellers are just a little bit more ruthless, really. They're like, who's going to give me the most money in the fastest possible time? So you don't get every deal that lands on your desk. No.
Sure. So, a couple of great points in there. And first, I just want to stress to anybody that's newer to real estate investing, just realize you're going to have to talk to a lot of people. You're going to have to make a lot of offers, and not every offer is going to be accepted. And the better that you can do at targeting your marketing to the right people that you really want to be talking to that have some motivation and interest in actually selling their home quickly and conveniently to a real estate investor, rather than trying to put it on the traditional market, that's what you're after. So you have to be really careful about going after the right set of people if you want to be able to get deals. Now, I did want to ask you a follow-up question to that, Chris. Since when you're talking to people, obviously not everybody is going to accept your low cash offer or even your rehab level offer, because I know you're rehabbing houses. So what do you do to win over not win over the competition, but win against the competition with these people that are really looking for highest and best?
Well, speed is key. We try and offer more of a service, more of a personal service than anybody else. By what I mean by that is we will make it as simple for the customer, because that's what that's ultimately what the seller is. Seller is your customer. We'll make it as easy for the customer to do business with us as physically possible. We, even during COVID, we've been more than happy to go to physical appointments. We've been, more than happy to, we don't just try and, lock everything up, virtually or electronically. So many people are going, oh no, I only do, like DocuSign. Well, if your seller can't do DocuSign, then why are you forcing DocuSign on them? If your seller wants to meet, face to face, or wants you to come and look at the house prior to making an offer, then you better go and get over to the house. And yes, if that means, we've literally put people on, on an airplane before. If booking one of my closers a $300 flight is going to get us a $30,000 deal, he's flying up to Pensacola. That's what's happening. So, we will do that. We actually even bought a house from somebody the other day. I did a good Facebook Live about it. We had a seller who just refused to sign a purchase and sale agreement. She was like, I will sell the house, but I am not signing any paperwork until I'm at the title company's desk. So that terrified everybody off. All of our competition were like, no, you've got to sign something. I was literally just like, I don't care. As long as she signs everything that needs to be signed at the closing table, then let's close. And this was actually 2 weeks ago. We bought that house. We weren't even sure if she was going to show up to closing, to be brutally honest with you, but she did. We bought that house. It's in Lutz, Florida. We bought it for $155,000. We cleaned it out. We cleaned the furniture out. We mowed the grass, chopped some trees down. So we spent about $2,500 in it. And we've sold it cash for $235,000, and that was all because we did something that our customers were not willing to do. I guess I think the last thing we do is we're very heavy on reviews. I think like my wife, every time we go out for any sort of meal anywhere, we book a hotel anywhere, we do anything these days. I think as a society we're kind of like reviews. So we actually are happy to pay sellers we incentivize our sellers to leave us reviews on Google, Trustpilot, Better Business Bureau. There must be some more. Facebook. So when we're in front of these sellers, and these sellers have, again, they've shopped around. They've probably had a few wholesalers in there. They've probably got a higher offer than us. We're trying to say to them, yes, but look, they might not close. Yeah, but are they really? Did you get proof of funds? Look at our reviews. So these are some of the tools that we use. Are they always effective? No, but we use them as best we can to our advantage. I hope that's answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really key for everybody. That's why I wanted to ask the question. And I know you're a broker as well, so you can decide that you want to list properties as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, so ultimately you can bring whatever solution to the table is most helpful to the seller. But I am kind of curious, how did your title company respond to the lady not being willing to sign off on like a contract they could process?
Well, we do a lot of work with that title company, so they just we just said, look, just start title work, get going, and she says she's going to sign everything, including she signed the purchase and sale agreement at the closing table. that was not the problem. She said, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign at the closing table, but I'm not signing. I'm not signing anything until I've got my lawyer and the closing table and the money and blah blah blah. So yeah, it was a funny one. It was the first time we came across that, but we are where we are, and it worked. So yeah.
That's really interesting. We actually, for the first time, just had somebody tell us the same thing last week. So I was curious. I didn't know that you could do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Maybe it's just the way the market is right now. They're getting so many offers from so many places. They're like trying to keep their options open.
I think that's right. I'm not trying to kill wholesalers here. We do wholesaling ourselves, and but I think we all know there's good wholesalers out there and there's bad wholesalers out there. And there's some wholesalers who are perfectly happy to just sling contracts on anything and everything under the sun. And then they've got no care for these sellers whatsoever. They will just happily back out of a contract on the last day of inspection period. Even when the sellers moved the kids out of school and packed up all the boxes and so on and so forth. And it's giving wholesaling a bad name. And I think it's one of the main reasons that wholesaling in time is going to get regulated. But that's just my personal opinion. I think where I'm going with this is I think sellers have been burned by wholesalers. And I think that's what's happened to her before. If she's signed things and she's been locked into, 90-day 90 business day contracts and things that she can't get out of, and so I think she's just had a hard time with it, and that's why she didn't trust anybody anymore.
Yeah, I can understand that. We had a deal like that a couple of years ago where somebody was like, yeah, this person's got me locked up for 90 days, but I haven't heard from him since like 30 days in. So we contacted the person and he's like, whatever, I still have another 60 days. We're like, come on, let her out of the contract. You're not going to do anything with it. He's like, no, I have a legal right to stay under contract. So the lady had to wait it out for another 60 days. And they really did have a true motivation. So they were hurting for that 60 days waiting to be able to sell the house. So I think that's a really great point to make, Chris. And I just want to stress that to everybody in the audience. If you're going to do wholesaling, don't go under contract with something that you don't have an exit that doesn't just involve you selling it to somebody else, because that's technically fraudulent. And, you know, it's actually against the law if you don't have a license and a proper listing agreement. There's all sorts of stuff that can go into that. But ultimately, it's bad for the seller, which is not the reputation that you want to have out in the community doing this type of work. So great point, Chris. And I think it just really needs to be stressed to everybody, because you're right. So many people are out there doing it wrong and hurting people in the process.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent here because this is talking about PPC and wholesaling. But, you know, if you are wholesaling, I think another practice that I've seen and heard, which is, you know, more acceptable than most, is if you've got a 30-day contract, just, you know, let them, if you can't find a buyer within 15 days, just let them out. You know, don't wait until, you know, 2 days before closing. I think that's just the wrong way to go. But anyway, I think let's get back on topic.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand. And you're right. And people, if you want any more information about wholesaling and how to do it properly, feel free to reach out to myself. Carrie knows what she's doing with wholesaling. Chris does as well. And link up with any of us. We'll be happy to teach you the right way to do it. You definitely want to have a good reputation out there if you're going to be a wholesaler. But yeah, so back to PPC and, you know, marketing in general, because I know you do other things as well. So for the people in our audience that may be really just getting started and they maybe have a limited budget and can only really choose one marketing channel, which is what I always advise to my coaching clients, is start with one thing and get really good at it. And let's say they really wanted to get started with PPC. What would you suggest to somebody that has a very limited budget to get started?
Yeah, I think you made a great point there. Just get really good at one thing. I think that's something I said really on in the call. I know people are jumping on and off. Is when I first started my real estate business, I didn't even know about skip tracing. I didn't know about the Freedom of Information Act. I didn't know that you could get lists of list pendants and code enforcement. And I genuinely didn't know any of this. So that's why we did PPC, because we thought we had to advertise. We thought that was the only way of getting business. We, you know, advertise, drive traffic to it, you know, get eyeballs and then get conversions. So that's why we just focused on PPC. We didn't even know about other channels. And there's also a really great book written, that one of my favorites, called The Pumpkin Plan. And that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying get really, really good at one thing. You know, your eye doctor doesn't, you know, remove appendixes, you know, midweek. They just focus on the eyes, and, you know, the appendix doctor fixes on appendix, and so on and so forth. You know, you want to be able to just do one thing, including marketing. You want to have it completely and utterly nailed before you move on to something else. So I'm just kind of backing up Marlena's point there. So how would you get, you know, entry level? Again, I would say, you know, maybe self-promoting myself here a little bit. You know, we have a marketing, it's a 16-hour marketing course, and we don't just cover PPC. I think PPC is about probably 4 hours out of that entire 16. Another 4 hours is kind of the magic that goes behind the PPC. However, it's defining your avatar and which zip codes you want to be in, what areas you should be in, what houses you should be targeting, what sellers you should be targeting. So, you know, so I'd say that about half of it, of our 16 hours, is very, very PPC required, let's say. And yes, whilst we do charge for the course, we're going to try in that 8 hours to give you a PPC handbook, a rule book, so to speak. that you can go away with, and whether you're doing the PPC yourself or you're going to hire an agency, for a couple of grand a month, whatever it is, give them the rule book and follow the rule book. Don't let them do what happened to me a few years ago and Marlene, by the sounds of things. Once you let them just do PPC the same way that they do PPC on every other commodity or service that they do PPC for, they're going to mess it up, and you're going to see your leads go up and the cost per lead go down, but you're going to see the number of deals that you're doing falling, and that's not a good thing. So in answer to your question, Marlena, I would strongly advise, reaching out to me, offline, and finding out a little bit more about our course, because for the cost of the course, just having that rule book that you can go away with and go, okay, I definitely know what not to do. And just knowing what not to do is going to save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, because the amount of people I've talked to who have said they've dabbled in the black art of PPC and they ran away scared because they put a budget of $5,000 in there at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, and by an hour later, the budget was gone and they've not generated a single lead. That's not good. That's not what you want. And you can do that if you want. If you want to learn by your own mistakes, then that's great. But we're trying to create this sort of course so that you can learn by our 5 years of mistakes. We spent $600,000 last year on PPC. I can assure you we've spent millions of dollars in PPC over the last 5 years. We've definitely learned by our mistakes, and we are willing to share those mistakes. So again, I hope that answers your question. But I would definitely not, if I was a newbie going into PPC, I would definitely not hire an agency and just let them do it for me without giving them some very specific rules to play with, saying, this is what I want you to do. Don't deviate outside that.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And I think that holds true across anything that you're going to do. I've met a lot of people that as they're getting started in real estate investing, they're like, oh, well, I've got some money to throw at some stuff, and so I'll just hire people that do it better than me without really taking any time to study or learn about what it is that they're asking somebody else to do. And that can be really dangerous, from obviously PPC, where there's a lot of money involved and it can go very quickly, to even something like hiring just like your virtual assistants and that sort of thing. I mean, you really got to be careful that you're hiring the right people for the right tasks, and you don't really know what it takes if you haven't learned about it first yourself, and ideally even done it a little bit yourself. Although with something like PPC, you definitely want some expert guidance in there. And again, for those of you that weren't in the room earlier, I have been exploring Chris's course, and I am getting a lot of great information out of it. And it's completely different than everything that I've ever done related to PPC. Not that I've done it myself, but I've worked with various agencies and not ever really gotten great results, except for spending, tens of thousands of dollars on it, and not getting deals off of it. So I've been wanting to learn, what can I do to fix this? Because I know there are some people out there that are getting really great results. So I'm so glad that Chris is with us tonight. And I know we've had some various people come in and out of the room. So I just wanted to stress again to everybody, please, if you do have a question or something that you want to share, just go ahead and raise your hand. Feel free to invite some other people into the room. We won't go too much longer, maybe another 20, 30 minutes. And I know that Carrie probably had something that she wanted to pitch in with. So I'll just turn the stage over to you, Carrie.
Yeah, Chris, so I had a question. I don't think we've covered this yet, but I wanted you to expand on it, because this made a huge difference for us when we were doing Google AdWords and PPC, and you talked about bounce rate. And I would love for you to just explain what a bounce rate is. And the reason why I bring this up is because we were getting horrible results from our pay-per-click when we were using our website, where they could go to all these different tabs. And I kept justifying it with my marketing person, saying, well, this is a really important decision for people when they're selling their house. They want to know who I am. They want to know what I'm all about, and I need to build credibility on my website. So we kept bringing them to the website. And it wasn't until we started using Unbounce. I don't know if you've heard of that done before, but we started using Unbounce, and it was just a simple landing page where they filled out a form. And I think we were split testing it between filling out a form and calling them, and our results went up when we went over to the landing page versus the website. So if you could just expand a little bit more on what bounce rate is and how you guys tackle high bounce rates.
Sure, yeah, no problem. I'm happy to try and answer. Again,
sure.
I'm going to throw my disclaimer out here. I'm the real estate and construction guy, and my business partner Ryan is the marketing guy. So if I get this slightly wrong, and then forgive me. But my understanding of bounce is when somebody visits your site and then basically doesn't do any actions, okay? They don't fill out any tabs, or they don't even click on tabs, or they literally come straight to your site and they bounce like a ball hits the floor. It doesn't stay on the floor for a couple of minutes and then just magically levitate back into the air. It literally bounces. So to me, bounce rate is somebody comes onto the site and instantly is off-put by the site, and then immediately goes to that dreaded top left-hand corner with the backspace and continues on their search on Google. So let's talk about how important that is. If you've got, let's turn that into numbers. Let's say you're paying, $100 a click, and again, sometimes we actually pay up to $300 a click if it's a great click. But if you've got a bounce rate of say 90%, then you're going to need to spend however much money that is, right? So let's do the maths here. To get one conversion, you're going to need to spend $1,000. Whereas if you've got a bounce rate of 50%, you're going to need to spend half of that. So bounce rate is really important in terms of how much you're spending to how many leads you're getting. So the higher your bounce rate, obviously, the far worse it is, the far less attractive and converting it is. And I think maybe what I said before was about bounce rate was to your point there, Kerry. Keep it super simple. I think that people put too much. They overthink this PPC thing. Again, they want hundreds of keywords and all these terms and all this terminology and then when they get to the site, there's all these different places you can leave information and some of them are I've seen that we all hate to fill out long-winded forms, right? I've literally seen ones that go like name, number, email address, house address, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, does it have a pool? And it just goes on and on and on and on. And I'm not interested, just click, just I'm out. You want to keep your website or your landing page really simple. You want to keep it very known. When people land on your site, they want exactly what you do, immediately what you do. Even if your name is "We Buy Houses Cash," fill out this form below, and literally your form. Our first form actually just captures the address, so it just goes for a free, no obligation, cash offer. Fill in your address. People then fill in their address, and then it takes them to the next page, which says, okay, you're almost done. What's your name? What's your number? Now, why do we do that? We do that because we notice that if you ask people just for an address, they're far more likely to give it to you than if you're asking them for your name and telephone number. Because, again, we hate cold callers, right? We hate leaving our telephone number somewhere and our email address somewhere because we know we're going to get spam messages. When I go to the store, oh, can we email you a receipt? Absolutely not, no, because the last thing I want to be is on your email thing, right? But we actually are okay with just an address, because if we get just the address, then we can go straight into public record, find the owner and skip trace them anyway. So we can actually get the owner's name and get the owner's telephone number with just the address. So that's one little hack for you. But number two is, if they do leave the telephone number, great. Telephone number, email address, perfect. Don't bombard them with more information. Don't ask them more. You can pick up the phone and ask them how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. So, yeah, in terms of bounce rate, number one, keep your website super obvious what it is you do. Number two, keep your lead capture details super, super user friendly. I think number three, if your bounce rate is off the chart, like it sounds like yours may have been, sounds like your traffic was bad, to be honest with you. Do you know how many keywords you had and what keywords you had?
I can't remember because we had someone doing it for us. And I remember at the time, so we switched from one marketing person to this, supposedly expert Google AdWords pay-per-click person. And he decided that we had way too many keywords. And so he condensed them into like 10, 15 keywords, I think. It was like really small.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my point was we only have 10 or 15 keywords. Again, I think people overcomplicate this. And if you have sell my house as a broad match modifier, you might have somebody wanting to sell a dog house. They come onto your website and then they go, oh, this is what I want at all, bounce. So your bounce rate might be high because of the keywords you're using to get them there. The relevancy of your site may be low to what the customer wants.
Got it. That makes sense.
Like, remember before Google existed, go back to the old days now, remember like Ask Jeeves and Alta Vista and all these AOLs and all these search engines. And you remember how frustrating the internet was when you used to type in, I don't know, you wanted your hair cutting and you wanted it cutting in Orlando, Florida. And just the nonsense that used to appear on your page, like there'd be a news article about some guy who once got his hair cut in Orlando, Florida, and then another person who lost their hair in Orlando, Florida, and it was just irrelevant. So what Google got really good at, the reason Google conquered the search engine world was it was relevancy. They could work out which was the most relevant site, so that when you wanted your hair cut in Orlando, barbershops popped up or hairdressers popped up. So I would just say that I remember my frustrations prior to then and just landing on page after page after page going, this isn't relevant, bounce. This isn't relevant, bounce. I would definitely say that your bounce rate will be high if you have traffic that's not relevant to what you want. And then I'd be looking at saying, okay, well, what keywords are we using? And what does our ad copy say? Again, your ad copy wants to be super, super light. You do not want people clicking on that ad unless you're very clear that you want to buy you're in the business of buying houses and you only click on this ad if you're interested in selling your house. We just don't want unwanted clicks. That's where the money goes. You only want wanted clicks.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. And I think, Frank, did you have a question for Chris?
Hey, Carrie. Hey, Marla.
Hey, Frank.
I'm late to the party. Sorry, Chris. I got like 24 questions for you, but I wanted to ask them because they've probably already been answered because I didn't realize PPC was going to be talked about tonight. But yeah, I have. You just helped me out because she asked the same. Carrie asked what I was going to ask about bounce rate, and I know we asked like a gazillion questions, and now that I hear you say what you said, it's like. Yeah, now I know why they bounce. I would too. Here's my struggle. My struggle is that like all the guys in my mastermind that do PPC say the same thing you said, which is and Marlena, which is, man, you need to know yourself. You need to, have enough to challenge the guy that was doing it for you, because I had somebody doing it for me. And, it's like, man, I crushed it, a couple great deals, and then it's like it's disappearing, and I can't find any leads again. And so it was so inconsistent that, I struggled with it back and forth. And somebody told me, run Facebook ads, that'll help you in your PPC. And I don't know that I've come up with a consistent strategy that's, that I can count on. So my question is, long lead in, my question is, can you count on regular regular deals that come from PPC, or is it just like the guy who ran it for me would say, Frank, it's just, that's the way it works, and, be happy when you get a deal. And like that, I can't survive just being happy when I get a deal. So is there a way, does PPC actually work where you can get regular leads and regular deals from it? Or is it like a up and down type of marketing channel?
I mean, it's our bread and butter. We buy 10 houses a month. I'd probably say 7 or
only
8
with PPC.
7 or 8 of them are with PPC.
Oh my gosh!
But listen, Frank. We're spending 50,000 a month on PPC, right? So, if your budget is small, and I was talking earlier on about how much do we have to spend to get a deal, we do have to spend about $3,500-4 grand. So, if you're saying to me
to get a deal,
yeah, if you're saying to me, listen, Chris, my PPC budget is $2 grand. Some months I do get some deals, and some months I don't. I'd be saying, yeah, well, because you're not spinning the wheel enough. So
you're the first person who's given me an actual number, because I've asked, guys, tell me, what is it do I need to spend? Because I'm willing, I got a certain amount of money, and based on, like you say, if you told me it's $3 grand a deal, okay, cool. Then, if I want 2 deals, I need to, whatever the number is, I need to come up with that math. I've struggled getting somebody to tell me what you just said. And I realize it probably varies per market, Phoenix versus Orlando or whatever. And so is all this in your course?
Yeah, I was just saying, it's a 16-hour course. 8 hours of it is spent, 4 hours of it roughly is spent talking about using data to define which markets you should be marketing in and which markets you should not be marketing. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing cold calling, direct mail, whatever. You don't want to be marketing in areas that you should be marketing. So if you're doing PPC, you don't want to be marketing in those areas either. So understanding your avatar and your target market is the backbone, really, is the magic behind what we do. And then about 4 hours of it is spent, talking about websites and PPC, talking about things that we've been talking about on this call today, talking about bounce rate, talking about ad copy simplicity, keyword simplicity, landing page simplicity, good landing pages, bad landing pages, good lead capture forms, bad lead capture forms. You can try it, Frank. Try your website. We're talking about how to make it simple for the user, right, to capture more leads. Right. I challenge you after this call, go on your website and try and fill out one of your own forms, or get loads of your friends and families to try and fill them out, right? And just see if they come back to you and say, good experience, bad experience, whatever.
As I'm thinking about my form, I want to cringe just thinking about all the questions we ask.
Yeah, what you may find is you try and go in there and leave a telephone number with hyphens in between the first 3 numbers. Some people will put, digit, hyphen, digit, hyphen, and then 4 more digits. Some people put, stops. Right. Some people put spaces. Some people don't put anything. There's actually a good few ways. Some people put the brackets there, parentheses. Strange people in America seem to call them. But some people will put, the first three digits in parentheses. There's actually 5 ways of leaving telephone numbers. If you're only catering to one way, well, you're shooting yourself in the foot to the tune of 5. some people have got those like, they've linked it to Google Street Maps, right? So you start putting in the address, and then it gives up like a suggested address underneath, which is cool. I think ours does the same. But I think we've seen some lead capture forms where if somebody does not use one of those addresses, it like says error message. Well, that's bad. Sometimes addresses do change. Sometimes some people just might by accident put in the wrong door number, but they're trying to give you their correct telephone number, or they're trying to give you the correct email address, and you're blocking them because you go in, do not recognize that address, block. That's not good. So in terms of consistency, yes, it is very consistent. And it's consistent because people who use Google are humans, and humans are consistent. Humans get themselves into financial difficulty. Humans jump sticks and decide they want to leave town. Humans, have medical issues, or new job opportunities, and they need to leave in 2 weeks, right? These things happen on a consistent basis. So people go to Google consistently, and people need to sell fast consistently. I would say that one reason we've seen in our courses where people say they were inconsistent, they were consistent on their marketing spend, but they were not consistent on their marketing results. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
You're doing what we talk about on the 2-day courses, spraying and praying. And what we mean by that is we're more talking about people who like do skip tracing, texting, so on and so forth. They'll get like a list of 10,000 people, and then they'll get 8 telephone numbers per record. So they've now got 80,000 records. And then they're just sticking them in a power dialer, or they're just blowing them up. But they want to call them, 10 times. So now you've got 800,000 telephone calls, right? It's like deer hunting with a minigun. You're just going into a forest and you're just laying carnage out there and killing everything in its path. And sure enough, when the smoke clears, you're out there going through all the trees and dealing with all the F you, go away, stop bugging me, leave me alone, right? And then lo and behold, you find a deer and you go, oh, yes, I got a dead deer, it worked. We're trying to go in there with a sniper rifle and go, I want less snows, I want less FUs, I want less, but I still want the deer. And that's probably, when you're looking at your PPC, you've probably just got a lot of keywords. You've probably got a big circle around your target area. And just like any good gambler who goes to the roulette wheel, some days you do good, but some days you don't. Right. Because you're spinning the wheel and you're putting the chips on the table consistently, but sometimes the ball's just not landing in your favor. And sometimes it does. And that's why you kind of like any good gambler, you're a bit addicted and you're going, yeah, but I'm going to keep spinning. I'm going to keep spinning. What you want to figure out is, hang on. The ball always lands in that quarter. I can't predict the future. I can't predict exactly which number it's going to come in, and that's impossible. But I can predict which quarter of this roulette wheel. And I think this comes back to what me and Marlene were talking about. For us, PPC, we need about 8 to 10 leads to get a deal. Yeah. Whereas in other marketing channels, it's more like 1 in 75. Right. We know with a reasonable amount of accuracy, if somebody has typed in these very specific keywords and they've landed on a very specific ad copy and they're very specifically landed on our website, which says that we do this, we buy houses cash, blah, 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 there's a high percentage chance that person is going to be in that quarter of the roulette wheel that we want them to be in.
Yeah, and I love the idea about being able to just put in your address and then the skip trace it if you that's super simple as well.
Yes, it is, yeah. Because some people just, again, me included, I hate putting my telephone number into things. Hate it.
So do I. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I want PPC because I want customers to reach out to me the way that I like to reach out to people I do business with. I Google it and then I, go from there. That's why I wanted to. So I did this for like a year, and but it was hard to get consistent. Sometimes like, oh my gosh, Grand Slam, and then sometimes like, hey, we're starving. Where are the leads? And so
yeah, feast or famine.
After a year, I just stopped. Yeah, that's how it was. And you're talking about 10 or 15 keywords, if that's what you said. I mean, I think we had like dozens, crazy number of keywords based on what you're saying tonight. So
yeah,
very helpful. I don't want to hog the whole time, but this is really good.
No, good. That's great. You're saying things that I hear a lot, and we've designed this 16-hour course to try to stop people from doing this where possible. It's a couple of the friends of mine actually from a mastermind. They're based in South Carolina, and they were their marketing was basically just getting lists of houses. There's no even distress there whatsoever. They just go, I'm going to find every single seller in this zip code, and then I'm going to skip trace every single seller in this zip code, and then I'm going to, boom, off we go. And that was their issue, was some feast or famine. Yeah, because they'd not reverse engineered it, and they'd not figured out that they were just spraying and praying, and they were just spinning the wheel. And when I said to them within about 2 hours on that course, I said, okay, what I want you to do this lunchtime, I want you to go away. I said, how many deals did you do last quarter? I think it was like 7. I said, right, there will be some common denominator between all 7 of those deals. You need to go and find that common denominator. And they came back after lunchtime and they were like, right, okay, we can go now. You've just saved us, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of $1,000s. And I said, what was the common denominator? They're like, they were all absentee owners. I said, there you go. So I said, so if you just took a list of, your market, and you just got them in an Excel spreadsheet and you just used the delete button, you just, right, sort the zip codes. This zip code same as this zip code, this zip code is different, so boom, sort, column, H, boom, you delete. You'd cut down your marketing by 80%, 90%, and you'd have the same strike rate. And they were like, yes. I was like, okay, we're good then. So you've learned something.
Right.
So yeah, there you go. We're definitely trying to teach people to take a laser focused sniper rifle approach to marketing to lower the cost of their marketing whilst increasing consistency and hopefully increasing the amount of deals. But even if the deals stay the same, if we can just increase consistency and decrease marketing costs, I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I wanted to chip in there and ask a question of Frank. Frank, I thought you were still doing PPC, so I am curious to hear what are you doing instead these days?
I've stopped recently, because I got along the way, some like Grand Slam deals, and so then because some of my deals were so good, I was able to keep going, but. It's just too feast or famine. And I mean, when it's feast, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of Facebook marketing, and actually, I've started getting deals via SEO, and then I'm getting leads from other real estate agents that I work with as well. But with all of that said, the way I want to run my business in one way, and that is PPC. That's what I've always wanted to do, but have not been able to get there. And so now I've been doing a lot of Facebook marketing, and it's been good, but that's not my preferred way. I mean, I want people when they're looking, they look for you. That's who they, want to do business with. And even in Facebook, you got to go through so many more leads than I had to PPC. And I think the gentleman said, I don't know if he said 8 or 10. I was somewhere in between, like about 6 or 7 leads to a deal, and I wasn't listing back then like I do today. I suspect that if it was still 6 or 7 today, then I would get, a few listings out of that as well. So I would be totally good with that ratio.
Sure.
But anyway, Chris, last question, and I'll be quiet. So if you take the course, I'm not the guy to run PPC for my company. So is it just take the course so I know the conversation to have with somebody who does it for me? Or is this like, hey, take the course and then do it yourself?
It's a good question. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times. Marlena asked me, if you'd never done any PPC before, what would kind of be your advice? And my advice would be, yes, it does cost some money, so I benefit from giving you this advice. But number one, yeah, take the course. But you're not going to, we can't teach you how to do PPC in 4 hours. Nobody can. It takes, these whiz kids hundreds of hours, thousands of hours to learn how to do it right. We're real estate investors. I don't really have a super interest in learning how to become a PPC expert. But what we can do is we can give you a rule book, a playbook. These are the keywords. These are the negative keywords. Don't use broad match modifiers. Don't, draw a big circle around the city of your choice. You want to do it in this specific way, where you're drawing these kind of like little mini circles, a bit like spots on a dog. You want to learn where those spots are, where those bullseyes are. You want to learn how to isolate them. And once you've got that rule book and at least that bit of knowledge, and you can at least beat that rule book into the person who's doing your PPC for you and say, take it down. We're not doing it your way anymore. This is the way that we're doing it. And I think that just doing that, you would see an exponential change in your ROIs or your KPIs.
Yeah, and I just wanted to jump in there and just mention, I know that, Chris, you said the 2-day, and I know you switched up to a virtual 4-hour thing. So I just want to stress that. So it's accessible for everybody, and I'm getting a lot of great value out of the last one that was put on. So definitely highly recommend it. And I wanted to make a quick note, just real quick. We're going to end the room here in about 10 minutes. So if you do have a question, now is the time to raise your hand and ask and come up on stage. Or if you just want to add something to the conversation, if you have any experience that you would like to share, then we welcome you up here. But I did want to turn it back to you, Chris, as well. We've talked a little bit about Facebook marketing, and I know a few people in the room do Facebook ads. Do you have any experience doing that in concert with what you're doing? How's that work?
Before I answer with a very short answer, anybody who does want to reach out to me about my course, you can email me, just chris.kelly, that's Kelly at Fast Sale Florida, chris.kelly at Fast Sale Florida, or my Instagram is Chris Kelly Mindset, and you can just direct message me on there. Or if you're probably from Facebook friends of Marlena and add me as a friend on Facebook and so on and so forth. So that's how to get hold of me. In answer to your question, Marlena, never ever run a Facebook ad. We've never done it ever, and I think one of the main reasons we did that was because up until recently you could target PPC by zip code, and I know that Facebook stopped doing that probably it's got to be about 3 years ago, something like that. So by the time we kind of got ready to do Facebook ads, they kind of took away a tool that we loved, and so we just said, well, screw that, we're not doing that. So we've never done it. No.
Okay, interesting. Well, Tim just stepped up on the stage. So Tim, do you have a question or something that you'd like to share?
Yeah. First of all, just wanted to thank everyone for putting this on. It's been really informative. I wanted to just ask about retargeting. What's being done in regards to, are you covering anything on retargeting, thoughts on retargeting, how you're implementing it? If you could expand on that topic.
Yeah, I will try my best. Again, I'm not the guy who actually runs our marketing, believe it or not. I'm the one who flips all the houses, but I can regurgitate what he's told me. So when you're talking about retargeting, you're talking specifically about people who visited our site and they've dropped a cookie and now we're going after them, or are you talking about retarget as in they've left their details and we're following up?
Yeah, if someone who's, all the work's been done, they've gone to the website, maybe they haven't completed a lead form, but they've been there. So all that work has been done to get them there. How are we going to get them back, or how are we going to try and, retouch these people?
Yeah, I know that we run a lot of banner ads, and that is something that we definitely do. One thing that we were talking about a few weeks ago was actually some sort of like IP address tracking, where maybe we could figure out where these people were when they left this, when they dropped a cookie, and then we can chase them around a little bit more from there. But I don't actually know if we're using those cookies to then target them on social media or anything like that. I don't know if we're doing that.
I'd like to throw something in there, and I haven't done it myself, but I was looking into it recently, so maybe somebody can take a next step and you'll find something useful from this. But if you can get the list of the IP addresses that have come to your site, so just making sure you have the right analytics, whatever in the background, as Chris was talking about earlier, you can reverse skip trace using the IP address through skipmatrix.com. They have a lot of data in their thing, and you don't just have to have the standard information, from what I understand, to be able to skip trace. So you can reverse skip trace it, and then you'd have data at a different level to be able to market on different platforms or through different channels. So that might be something that you could try for that.
There you go. So even I'm learning there. Thank you, Marlena. So that was you say data, I say data. So that's what datamatrix.com. So what you said?
Skip Matrix.
Skip Matrix. Okay, perfect. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep anybody from asking a question still, so I'm going to start to kind of just trail off the room here at the end. But if you do have a question, we still have a few minutes left, and now's a great time to ask. Again, just kind of, we're here every Monday evening at 7 p.m. trying to bring a different expert in their field and whatever they're doing in marketing for their real estate investing business up on stage to talk with us and share what they're doing, answer any questions, offer free support and coaching if you need any. So we are here to provide value and to help you, and just to, do good work in the world and try and spread all the goodness that has been passed along to us and pay it forward to other people so that they can get the same results that we've gotten. So hopefully you've gotten something great out of this evening. Again, Carrie Like is my co-host. She had to leave because she's got little kitties, and so do I. So I can't stay on too much longer here, but we're glad to have everybody here with us this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come and join us. We hope that you'll come back next week. And again, we have Chris Kelly here this evening with us. He's been talking about PPC and how he's using that to generate 7 to 8 deals in his business a month. They do more than 10 a month on average, and do rehabbing. And if I recall, you own a roofing company, a construction company. Tell us about all the other things that you do as well, real quick.
Well, I mainly flip houses, to be honest. I try not to spread myself too thin, but I'm a real estate broker, and I didn't enjoy being a real estate agent. And you had to sell a lot of houses and a lot of work. And then I flipped my first house in 2015, made like 30 grand, and I was like, wow, that was easy. So yeah, I ended up just doing that, and I only got my general contractor's license because I found that some houses, you needed permits, for whatever reason, or there'd be open permits on houses, and then I was trying to curry favors with contractors. So no, I'm just a little bit of a control freak, really, and I like to make sure that I don't need any other services from anybody else that I can't do myself. So that's one of the reasons I got my contractor's license. But my roofing license is something that we're talking about marketing, we'll keep it marketing specific. I actually got it for a very specific reason, because once I'd realized about what we're talking about target marketing and avatars and real estate and skip tracing and even PPC, we still get roofing, flyers in the mail going, do you want a roof? Do you want, whatever? And it's like, why are you sending flyers to people who, are in a predominantly, let's say, tenanted area or whatever. It's just spraying and praying again. And I really think that, with my marketing knowledge now, we can get laser focused and laser specific on houses that we want, right? Has there been a roofing permit pulled recently? Yes or no? Why would I direct mail somebody who's just had a roof put on in the last 2 years? Same with real estate. You want to figure out how to get lists of people and condense that list so far down, so far down that when the phone rings, the probability of that person fitting into your strike zone is extremely high. So same with the roof. That's one of the reasons I thought, well, roofing, that makes sense. I can find people who, have got roofs older than 20 years, who've not had a recent permit on there, that they live in like BC zip codes. I'd only be focusing on houses that are like 1970s to 1990s, because I don't want really beaten up 1950s. So many roofers are all things to all men, and they want commercial and this and flat roofs. And I'm saying with real estate, I only want fix and flips, of a certain size, in certain zip codes, of a certain price point, of a certain resale point. And you've got to get super sniped on who your ideal seller is, and the same with the roofing, who your ideal person is that needs a roof, right? And you want to cut out all of the wastage, and again, I think that's a really important point that I'm trying to emphasize with this 16-hour course is, where is the wastage? How do we cut out the wastage? How do we identify who we really want? Do we want block homes, or do we want wood homes? Do we want mobile homes? Do we want multifamily? Do we want stuff in $1 million zip codes? Do we not? If you're building a rental portfolio, here in Florida, do you really want to be building a rental portfolio of houses that were built in the 1950s and have got cast iron pipes and so on and so forth? Or do you want to be building a rental portfolio of stuff that was built, there's a few people from Orlando on this call. So, when I drove to Orlando on I-4, as I'm getting into through Polk County and I get to Orange, I-4, there's loads of developments all built in the last 20 years. Those are the houses that I want, because they've got good electric, they've got good plumbing, they might need a new roof coming up soon, but that's about it. They're built of block, so on and so forth. So why would I be spending dollars in a 1950s zip code if my avatar is a block home built in in 2000 plus, because I'm building a rental portfolio? And this just really comes back to identifying your market, identifying your avatar, and then laser focusing your marketing on that target market and on that avatar.
I love it. And again, thank you, Chris, so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I just want to tell everybody in the room, I know a couple of people were coming in and out. We're here every Monday evening, 7 p.m., and we host a different expert in their marketing field for their real estate business every week. And tonight, this is Chris Kelly. He's been talking to us about PPC and especially targeting. And we are about to leave the room here, so just kind of give you a heads up. But I just want to point out that he works with somebody who is like, I'm going to call him a data scientist. Like, he's a statistical analyst. He's, got a lot of experience doing this stuff. And Chris is the guy on the other side of the transaction. So between the two of them, they're kind of a powerhouse for what we're talking about here tonight. They've really linked up well, and they're killing it. And they are providing a course and training to teach other people what they do. And also are offering some services, helping other investors set their stuff up. So if you do have any interest in learning more about this topic, please reach out to Chris. I'll let him tell you his contact information here before we go. But reach out to him, have a chat with him, tell him what questions you have, what you're looking to do in your business, consult with him, see if it's something that he might be able to help you with. I'm personally exploring the course, and I'm getting a lot out of it. And again, we're not getting paid for promoting this. We're just trying to promote good people and let people know where they can go to get more information. So please check him out, give him a call. He's a great guy. He's here in Florida. I've met him a few other places, and I've just been really impressed by what he's been doing. So we wanted to bring him on tonight. But thank you again so much, everybody, for being here. And Chris, go ahead and tell him again how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, I apologize for not having my Clubhouse profile set up. So, you know, I'm not this is the first time I've used it. So, but yeah, just you can grab me on my Instagram is Chris Kelly Mindset. So, and Kelly has just got one E, Kelly. So Chris Kelly Mindset. You can email me on, it's chris.kelly at Fast Sale Florida. So that's FASTSALE, FastSaleFlorida, and then Florida.com. So those are really probably the two best ways to get in touch with me. And if you want to find out more about our course, you know, that you know, be more than happy to jump on a call with you or send you some more information and take it from there. And I just want to, just before we go, just say thank you to Marlena for hosting the show. Really well done, really well put on, and thanks for the invite. I've enjoyed it, and it's my first Clubhouse, and you know, yeah, very much enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to be able to help host you on your first experience on here. I hope we made it easy for you, and you did an excellent job. So thank you so much for participating and being here to help out with our audience. And great topic tonight, great information, great questions. So thank you again, everybody, for being here, and we hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Email you now, Chris.
Perfect. Going way down.